Diabetes can be a very dangerous disease. It is a disease that is usually referred to as a silent killer, as its patients rarely show any signs and symptoms related to the disease. Yet, the damage can be getting more severe inside. Diabetic people are advised to watch their diet and maintain an ideal weight so they can manage their disease better. Although these foods may seem healthy, these are the top 10 unhealthy health foods if you have diabetes. Contrary to popular belief, there is now a simple 3-step process to reverse diabetes mellitus, type 2 diabetes, or pre-diabetes in a very short time. This groundbreaking discovery has been helping people all around the world return back to a normal life from their diabetes. To learn more about this cure, check the first link in the description below for more information. Before we get started, please be sure to give this video a like and subscribe. Also, comment, "I subscribed," below, as this helps YouTube share this video with more people that may suffer from diabetes, and would love to learn these foods to help as well. Thank you. There are many of us who are dieting and trying to live a healthy lifestyle. We exercise and go out of our way to eat the best foods we can. Most of us already know that trans fats, white sugar, and white flour are not the best health choices, especially if we want to keep our weight down. Unfortunately, some of the very foods that we think are healthy are ones that can cause a lot of trouble for our bodies, especially if you have diabetes. Here is the list of the top 10 unhealthy health foods if you have diabetes. Fruit-flavored yogurt. Plain yogurt can be a good option for people with diabetes. However, fruit-flavored varieties are a very different story. Flavored yogurts are typically made from non-fat or low-fat milk and loaded with carbs and sugar. In fact, a 1-cup serving of fruit-flavored yogurt may contain almost 31 grams of sugar, meaning nearly 61% of its calories come from sugar. Many people consider frozen yogurt to be a healthy alternative to ice cream. However, it can contain just as much or even more sugar than ice cream. Rather than choosing high-sugar yogurts that can spike your blood sugar and insulin, opt for plain, whole milk yogurt that contains no sugar and may be beneficial for your appetite, weight control, and gut health. Honey, agave nectar, and maple syrup. People with diabetes often try to minimize their intake of white table sugar, as well as treats like candy, cookies, and pie. However, other forms of sugar can also cause blood sugar spikes. These include brown sugar and natural sugars such as honey, agave nectar, and maple syrup. Although these sweeteners aren't highly processed, they contain at least as many carbs as white sugar. In fact, most contain even more. In one study, people with prediabetes experienced similar increases in blood sugar, insulin, and inflammatory markers regardless of whether they consumed 1.7 ounces 50 grams of white sugar or honey. Your best strategy is to avoid all forms of sugar and use natural low-carb sweeteners instead. Carbohydrates. New studies evaluating the effects of high carbohydrate and high monounsaturated fat diets indicate that patients with type 2 diabetes suffered modestly raises blood pressure after being exposed to 14 weeks of a high carbohydrate diet compared to a diet high in monounsaturated fat. Artificial sweeteners. Many people who are dieting, whether it is low-calorie or low-carb diets, will opt for beverages with artificial sweeteners instead of sugar. Admittedly, sugar is certainly a troublemaker and should be avoided, but artificial sweeteners are actually worse for you and could be very dangerous to your health. All the artificial sweeteners are bad, but one of the worst sweeteners for us is NutraSweet equal aspartame. There are over 92 different health-related side effects associated with aspartame consumption, including brain tumors, birth defects, diabetes, emotional disorders, and epilepsy seizures. There are more adverse reactions to NutraSweet reported to the FDA than all other foods and additives combined. A much better alternative to chemically derived sweeteners is stevia, which comes from a plant. It has been used for centuries with no side effects. It can be purchased in most health food stores in the United States. Meat and meat foods. One of the most important nutrition guidelines to follow is to eat less saturated fat. A quick and simple way to do that is to eliminate meat products. They are high both in saturated fat and cholesterol content. People with diabetes have a greater risk of heart disease earlier in life. The practically useless calories added by saturated fats contribute to above normal body weight and obesity, putting a diabetic at greater of heart disease. Flesh foods are extremely harmful to diabetes. They increase the toxemic condition underlying the diabetic state and reduce sugar tolerance. Most diseases of the human body are caused by autointoxication or self-poisoning. The flesh of animals increases the burden on the organs of elimination and overloads the system with animal waste matter and poisons. Chemical analysis has shown that uric acid and other uric poisons contained in the animal body are almost identical to caffeine and nicotine, the poisonous, stimulating principles of coffee, tea, and tobacco. The renowned journal Lancet reports that a patient with diabetes must be persuaded to consume fewer animal foods. However, in cold countries where meat and meat products constitute the bulk of the diet, patients with diabetes should limit their intake of animal products to eggs and white meats like fish and poultry. All uses should be kept to the minimum. All red meat and red meat products should be completely eliminated from their diet. Sports drinks. Although marketers would have us believe that sports drinks are what the body needs when exercising heavily, the truth is that sports drinks are filled with sugar, sucrose, glucose, and fructose, and salt, potassium and sodium, as well as artificial flavorings and colorings. Add a little salt to Kool-Aid and you have about the same thing. You would be much healthier and better off by drinking spring water or diluted freshly squeezed juices while exercising. Most energy and sports bars. Most sports energy and bars are also filled with things that are not the best for our bodies and are a little better than candy bars. Many of them contain sugar or artificial sweeteners, chemicals, preservatives, and synthetic nutrients. Check the ingredients before you buy an energy bar. Try to find one that is made with whole foods, such as oats and flax seeds, fruits, and natural sweeteners. Soy products. This is one of the most surprising ones of all. After all, soy has been used for countless generations in Asia. But the way we now use soy is very different than the way the Asians have traditionally used it. The ancient Asians knew that the soybean was hard to digest, so they had extensive fermenting processes that broke down most of the indigestible components, making it much healthier to eat. Examples of this would be products like soy sauce, tempeh, and miso. These were used in small amounts as condiments and flavorings, not as a meat replacement. But the way we use soy as a meat alternative, texturized vegetable protein or TVP, can be very unhealthy since soy contains large amounts of toxins or anti-nutrients. Some of the problems the anti-nutrients in soybeans cause are conditions of the pancreas, cancer, and thyroid problems. Soybeans also can block the body's absorption of essential minerals. Fats. The excessive use of fats has been linked to the development of diabetes. A recent study at the University of Colorado Health Science Center, USA found that an intake of an extra 40 grams of fat a day increases the chances of developing diabetes by 3 times. Fat-rich diet, especially one saturated with animal fat, seems to damage the effectiveness of the insulin. Research at the University of Sydney in Australia measured the saturated fatty acids in the muscle cells of older non-diabetic men and women undergoing surgery and found that the higher the presence of saturated fatty acids in the cells, the greater the insulin resistance. On the other hand, higher tissue levels of polyunsaturated fats, particularly fish oil, indicated better insulin activity and lower resistance. Fish oil differs from animal fats in that fish oil contains polyunsaturated fatty acids. One of the fatty acids called omega-3 is especially good for the heart. It lowers cholesterol and protects from atherosclerosis. In fact, the researchers also reported that intake of omega-3 fish oil to the subjects effectively overcame their insulin resistance. In another study, Jennifer Lovejoy, assistant professor at Louisiana State University, USA, studied in the eating habits and insulin activity among 45 non-diabetic men and women. About half of them were obese and the remaining half of normal weight. In both cases, higher fat consumption increased insulin resistance. This indicates, says Dr. Lovejoy, that even normal individuals who decrease their insulin efficiency, boost their vulnerability to diabetes. granola, and other unprepared grains. For the last 30 through 40 years, granola has been synonymous with health food. But eating unprepared grains, or grains that have not been soaked, fermented, or sprouted, has only come about in the last 50 through 100 years. People who lived before our time understood that unprepared grains could cause dietary distress. There are anti-nutrients in grains like there are in soybeans, such as phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors, that make them harder to digest. These antinutrients can cause serious problems like Crohn's disease, colitis, and even mental disorders. Our failure to prepare our grains properly is one of the reasons that celiac disease is so prevalent now. So, stay away from the granola. Oatmeal is an excellent addition to our diets, but use whole rolled oats, not instant, and soak them overnight before boiling them for breakfast. Good breads to eat are those that have properly prepared grains, including whole grain sourdough and sprouted grain bread. You can usually find these in specialty grocery stores and health food stores. If you are trying to lose weight and/or eat healthier, remember that just because a company markets a healthy product well or a health food store sells it, it doesn't mean that it is really healthy for you. Do some research before you grab that sports bar, or better yet, reach for an organic apple, cherries, or some other natural, not processed food. Your body will thank you and reward you for it. We hope that you received lots of value from our list of the top 10 unhealthy health foods if you have diabetes. But we couldn't leave you without telling you what foods you should eat to help your diabetes condition. So, here is our bonus list of what foods you should eat if you have diabetes. A daily dose of fruits and vegetables is essential. Fruits and vegetables play an important role in a diabetic's diet. As much as possible, they should eat fruits or green leafy vegetables for snacks or along with the main meal. Stir-fried or raw vegetables are ideal. These foods are rich in vitamins and nutrients essential in fighting off bad cholesterol. Starches should be consumed for energy. A diabetic's diet should include starch so that the patient would have the energy to sustain his daily activities. Whole grain bread and cereal are good sources of starch. It is best when consumed during breakfast to fuel up the required energy throughout the day. Include soluble fibers in your diet. Studies have shown that soluble fibers slow down the absorption of glucose in the intestines. Legumes, kidney beans, and carrots are good choices of food that are high in soluble fibers. Drink more water. I know you have heard people say this many times before, but the benefits of drinking more water are endless. A few tips on how to get more water into your day are to first to put bottles of water at all the places you go in the house or work. So keep one in your desk, on your desk, a glass in the kitchen, the bedroom, the sitting room, etc. Try and drink all these glasses up and you will be well on your way to 8 glasses a day. The trick is to add a glass every few days or so. If you try to drink all that water in one go you won't be so inclined to drink 8 glasses again, trust me. Have a go, it's amazing how great you will feel. So there you have it. The top 10 unhealthy health foods if you have diabetes, plus a few healthy foods to eat if you have diabetes. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel if you received any value, and if you are interested in getting rid of your diabetes for good, check the first link in the description for more information about that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.